Have you ever imagined what it would be like if, suddenly, team just stopped, if all the hands froze, if the sun remained suspended in the sky and nothing else moved? The first sensation might have been relief. No deadlines, no rush, no guilt for putting things off. But what would come next? Silence. Empty. And the realization that perhaps team was never the enemy, but the mirror of everything we stopped doing. This is the story of someone who discovered it a lot, or maybe exactly moment, when team stopped. Lucas was the type of person that everyone said had potential, intelligent, creative, full of ideas, always dreaming big. But there was something in him that prevented him from leaving the place, the illusion that he would have team. He always said the same phrases, "You'll start the ter, tomorrow will be different, there is still team." And so, each tomorrow became an invisible feast, taking away a piece of what he could have been. He woke up every day with new promises and slept with the same excuses. His room was full of blank notebooks, unfinished plans, half-finished projects, and a pile of dreams waiting for the right team. One day, after another morning wasted scrolling through his cell phone and convincing himself that he was wasting his mind, Lucas heard something strange. The clock ticking stopped. That sound, which had always been there, disappeared. He looked at the clock on the wall. The hands were still. He looked out the window and noticed something even more frightening. People on the street were standing still. The wind did not move the leaves, the cars did not move, nor did the birds move in the air. Team had stopped. At first he laughed. He thought he was dreaming, or having some kind of hallucination. But he soon realized that everything was really still, except him. Lucas could walk, talk, breathe, but the whole world was frozen. Not knowing what to do, he started walking through the streets. He passed stores, schools, parks. Everything was still. Children stuck in the air while they read, laughter frozen in team. It was as if the entire universe had hit the pause button. Little by little, the silence began to take its toll. Without movement, without change, without team, nothing had life. He began to feel something he had never felt before. The presence of team. Team had always been invisible, but now that it was gone, Lucas realized that it was team that gave meaning to everything. He walked to an old bench in the square and sat down, and it was there that he heard a voice, a calm voice, deep, that does not come from any specific place. "You always wanted more team, didn't you, Lucas?" he said, scared. "Who is there?" The voice replied, "I am what you wasted, what you ignored, what you believed you would have forever. I am team." Lucas's heart accelerated. "Team, that is impossible. Team does not speak." The voice replied, "You never listened because you never stopped to listen. But now that everything is stopped, maybe it is team to listen." Lucas tried to understand what I was betting. Why did everything stop? Why am I still moving? The voice replied, "Because team has decided to give you what you've always wanted, more team. Not a minute will pass until you understand the value of every second." He laughed nervously. "So, is this it? A punishment?" The voice was silent for a moment, then replied, "It is not a punishment. It is a mirror. What will you do with team when you no longer lack it?" At first, Lucas thought it was a gift, started walking around the city taking advantage of the infinite team. He entered cinemas, museums, bookstores. He sat in cafes, visited places he always wanted to see. But everything was still. The lights waiting to flickering, the wine wasn't blowing, people waiting to breathing. Nothing made sense. He could have all the team in the world, but without movement, without change, team had no life. Then, for the first team, he wanted team back. "I wanted the clock to start again. I wanted to hear the ticking sound again, even if it was to remember that the minutes were slipping away." It was then that the voice spoke again. "Now do you understand what team is, Lucas?" He replied, his voice trembling. "I thought team was what stopped me from living, but now I see that team is what allows me to live." The voice continued, "And why did you waste it?" He lowered his head. "Because I believed there would always be more, that tomorrow would always be there." The voice replied, "Tomorrow is the sweetest lie humanity has ever invented. A forma como vocês disfarçam o medo de começar hoje. O silêncio voltou e Lucas sentiu o peso de cada palavra. Ele pensou em tudo o que havia deixado para depois, as pessoas que amava, os sonhos que adiou, as promessas que nunca cumpriu. E pela primeira vez chorou. Chorou porque percebeu que havia vivido metade da vida esperando pela outra metade. Chorou porque entendeu que o tempo não era o inimigo, era o tesouro mais precioso que ele havia deixado escapar. De repente, ele ouviu o som de um clock, a single tick, then another. The sound returned. The wine started blowing again, the car started moving again, and the world resumed its rhythm. Tim was back. Lucas ran home, still shaking. He looked at the clock. Only a minute had passed since it all started. 1 minute. But that minute had taught what years of life had failed to do. From that day on, everything changed. When the alarm clock went off, he got up. When an idea came up, he put it into practice. When someone asked for help, he no longer said later. He acted. And each action seemed to multiply team, not reduce it. Your projects started to work out, your relationships became stronger, and your mind became lighter. Because he finally understood that team is not something you spend, it is something you live. And the longer you live, the more team is worth. Months passed, and Lucas became someone completely different. His friends called him the guy who never puts anything off. I laughed, but I knew why. I knew what it meant to see the world stand still and feel the emptiness of dead team. And one day, sitting again on the park bench, he heard the voice once again. I see you learned, Lucas. He replied smiling. I learned it the hard way, but I learned it. The voice said, then remember team never stops, but to those who respect it, it becomes an ally. To those who ignore it, a silent thief. Lucas looked around and saw the sun sinking over the horizon. For the first time, he was not afraid of the sunset. He understood that the day was over, yes, but another would come, and what mattered was not how much time he had, but what he did with it. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes and thanked her, not because of the time that could pass, but because of the time that he could still live. And perhaps this is the most important part of the story. Tim is never the villain. Tim is neutral, constant, fail. He does not run, or wake you just follows. It is up to you to decide whether to run together or stand still and watch the hands move by themselves. And the most curious thing is that, even knowing this, we still fall into the same trap every day. We believe we have team. We believe that tomorrow will be easier, calmer, more favorable. But tomorrow never comes, there is only today. Think about this for a moment. How many things have you been putting off? How many promises have you made to yourself and never kept? How many opportunities have you let pass by waiting for the perfect moment? What if I told you that the perfect team is this right now, just as you hear these words? Team is passing, whether you like it or not, and what you do with it defines who you become. Some people waste years waiting for the bright sign, others use what they have and create their own signs. Team is the same for everyone, what changes is how much you respect it. The truth is that team does not forgive waiting. It rewards action. He rewards those who act, those who start, those who try, those who make mistakes and try again. Because every second spent moving is a second life gained, and every second spent waiting is a second stolen by nothingness. You may think it is still early days. You may think that you will start when things calm down, when you have more energy, when you are sure. But it is the trap. Team does not wait for you to be ready. He walks, impassive, indifferent. And when you finally feel ready, you may realize that the chance has passed, that the clock has not stopped for you, and the only thing that what remained was regret. Lucas understood this the day team stopped. And you? Do you need to wait for team to stop too? Or will it start now, while it is still running in your favor? Think about it. Team is not what you have. It is what you are. And with each choice, you decide whether you are living, or just letting team pass. If this story touched something inside you, maybe it is because, deep down, you were also postponing something. A dream, a change, a conversation, a decision. So here is the challenge. Stop for a second, close your eyes and ask yourself, what am I putting off? It could be something small, it could be something huge, but whatever it is, start today. Because, as Lucas learned, time is a gift that falls apart with each second. And if this message made sense to you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe the story is not just about Lucas, maybe it is about all of us, about how we run after team, while leaving the team slips through your fingers, about how we wait for life to begin, when it already began a long time ago. So, if you've made it this far, tell me in the comments, what are you going to start today? What promise will you keep now, before the clock moves forward another minute? And remember, time is not stopped. He is passing by as you read these words. What are you going to do with it now? If the story made you reflect, like the video, subscribe to the channel and share it with someone who lives saying ele do later. Perhaps, like Lucas, this person also needs to realize the value of a single minute. Because, at the end of the day, time never stops, but the decision to change can start now.